Good evening everyone. So back to the point that the real-time kernel of the chapter number 5, we have already starting with the operating systems, right? So in that operating system, in the last time we have seen, in the last lecture rather, we have seen something about the features of the operating system. Now in this point we are going to see what do you mean by the real-time kernel. So before going in deep to direct to the real-time kernel, let us see what do you mean by kernel. So next we are going to start with what do you mean by kernel. So this kernel is nothing but this kernel is an operating system. We are going to learn about the kernel in operating system, right? So what actually is an operating system? Operating system is a interface between the user and the program end, is it not? So to how that operating system is going to work, that operating system is again going to work under this kernel. So kernel in operating system, how it is going to work, we are going to see. So we will discuss what a kernel is, what the role it is going to play inside the operating system, and what are the different functions of the operating systems and of the kernel, and also we are going to define all the functions in detail. So what is kernel? Kernel is nothing but a central component of an operating system. Okay, here you can say the kernel is nothing but also called as a heart of the operating system. Okay, you know, whenever a human being without a heart, it's cannot working, is it not? Similarly, whenever you need to work the operating system, whenever you are going to work under some applications into your computer system, that means you need OS. And when OS is going to work, when it is going to have a heart. When it is going to have a heart means what? When it is going to work under the kernel. Okay, so the kernel is nothing but also called as a heart of the operating system. So it is responsible, so this kernel is responsible for managing all the processes or memory files and etc. So here we have seen yesterday some applications or some features of the operating system where it can manage all the kinds of data, all the kinds of memory system, all kinds of file systems and etc. So who is managing all their things? The kernel is managing these kinds of features of the operating systems. So basically this kernel function is at the lowest level of the operating system. So this kernel is basically going to act as a bridge, or you can say it is going to act as an interface between the user level application, that is in the form of software you can call it as, and the hardware. So whenever we are going to talk in terms of hardware and software, that time the main kernel is going to be an interface, it be a bridge between the user level, that is between the software and the hardware. So therefore the communication between the hardware and the software is done via kernel. Okay, hope so you have understood what do you mean by kernel. So now we are going to complete the control. Now this kernel is going to have the complete control over everything that this occurs in the system. Like whenever you want to pass the signals, whenever you need to receive some interrupts, whenever you need to work on some particular system, each and every time this kernel is going to come and have the control to solve each and every difficulty what the system is going to face. So the kernel is nothing but a central component of the computer of the operating systems. As I told you, this is the kernel. Kernel is the operating system's basic heart, where it is going to work under, or which is going to have the control over all the parts. Now you know, our heart is the main thing. If you consider a human body, the heart is the main thing. Unless and until the heart is pumping every time, the heartbeats are going to go every time, each and every part, rest of the parts of the body is not going to work, is it not? When you are called it as an alive, when a human being is alive, when the heartbeats are beating, simultaneously here also, whenever the kernel is operating each and every file, whenever the kernel is having control on each and every system, then and then only you can say that the computer system is going to work finely. Okay, so the only job performed by the kernel is to manage the communication between the software and hardware. Okay, what we say, embedded system means what? Embedded system is nothing but a combination of hardware and software, is it not? And what we say, we pass the signal and it is going to receive the signal, is it not? So whenever you are going to talk about the software, now this software is under the PC, whatever the application you are going to install for the interfacing purpose, that application is going to run under the control of OS, is it not? So how OS is going to work? With the help of this kernel. So kernel is the basic thing which is going to help the OS to run the application, so that application, when it is going to run, then with the help of the interfacing part, the hardware is going to operate. So this kernel is going to work as a communication between the hardware part and the software part. So the kernel is the nucleus of the computer. It makes the communication between hardware and software possible. So while the kernel is in the innermost part, there are some tasks, there are some processes. So under that process, under some inner shell, the kernel is going to work. Upon that kernel, there are number of tasks the computer is going to operate. So this kernel is in the innermost part of the operating system, and the shell is the outermost one. So here you can see there is an application. Whenever the application is want to communicate with all the hardware devices of the PC, that you may say can a CPU, memory, or any other devices, compulsorily the application first has to communicate with the kernel. Then this kernel is going to communicate with the CPU, memory, or the devices, and then this application is with the help of the kernel, it is going to operate. So this kernel is nothing but a bridge. This kernel is nothing but an interface between the application and the memory or CPU or devices. Okay. So next here also you can see, whenever you want to communicate, a user want to communicate with a hardware. So with the help of this kernel, with the help of this operating system, see this is the kernel, this is main the operating system. Okay. Inside the operating system there is a kernel, and outside the kernel it is a shell, through which then the terminal is going to pass. Through this terminal the signals are operating, and then it is been given to the user. So the hardware is communicating in the part of kernel, terminal, and then the user. Okay. So let us see some features of this kernel. So this kernel is nothing but a features like, including the features like low level scheduling of the process, inter-process communication, process synchronization, and context switching. So there are n number of features this kernel is having. So these are the main basic and most important features of the kernel. So now till now we have seen the basics of the kernel. What are the features? What exactly is the kernel? How it is going to communicate with the hardware and the software, and how important it is to bridge the hardware and software for the communication purpose. Now the main point we are going to run behind, or we are going to look for, is the real-time kernel. Now this real-time kernel is a software. This we know there is real-time kernel and hard real-time kernel and soft real-time. Okay. So this real-time kernel is a software that is managing the time of the microprocessor to ensure that the time critical events are processed as efficiently as possible. So whenever a microprocessor is going to run under some, or whenever a microprocessor is going to run some applications, some instructions it is going to run, that time this real-time kernel software is going to manage the time of the microprocessor. So what particular time is given to which particular task to perform that application, that is decided by the kernel. Okay, real-time kernel. So the use of kernel simplifies the design of an embedded system, because this system is to be divided into multiple independent elements, which is called as task. So as we have know, embedded system is called when it is going to perform one particular task. Okay, so likewise this kernel is also going to be designed under this embedded system only. Why? Because it is divided into some multiple independent tasks. So just have an overview is that the basic issue that should be considered during the design and development of real hard time kernel for critical control applications. Now there are some critical applications where you need to have the control of each and every system. So that time the what basic design you should understand or what basic design you should develop to run that particular application is we are going to see. The first one, the next is we are going to see is the small real-time kernel, which is called as C kernel. Now C kernel is nothing but a DIC, that is DIC. Now there is this next we are going to see is the inter-task communication is also discussed. Now inter-task communication means what? Whenever you want to communicate within the system itself. Whenever you want to communicate within the system itself, unless then communicating with some other external devices, whenever you are going to communicate within the internal system itself, it is called as the inter-task communication. So this inter-task communication is also discussed in some particular communication mechanism for exchanging the state messages among the periodic tasks are also discussed. In this point, we are going to discuss it next. Okay. So as I told you, there are some tasks. This kernel is going to run behind every task. There are some states, there are some tasks which we are going to see later, and while exchanging that state from one state to another state, whenever it is going to jump, that time how it is going to communicate, that is we are going to see. And the next is the runtime overhead of the kernel, that has to be scheduled, analysis has to be done. Next is we are going to see the kernel usually provides the basic activities like the process management, interrupt handling and the process synchronization. Next, this kernel also provide the basic activity like other kernel activities which are involved in initializing of the internal data structures such as the queues, the tables, the task control blocks, the global variables, the semaphores and so on. There are so many multitasking tasks in each and every period the kernel has to work upon. So these are also the internal data structure activities, and initialization is going to take part by this real-time kernel. So this is the DIATIC C kernel which we had discussed earlier, that is the DIC. This is the real-time, that is the DIATIC C kernel, whose kernel or whose C kernel structure and characteristics are presented in the presentations itself. We will see it. And DIATIC implies, what do you mean by DIATIC? It is nothing but the teaching process, the teaching purposes of each and every task. So here you can see the structure of the real-time kernel. So there are basically four layers. First is the machine layer. Now this machine layer is nothing but the assembly code layer, where with the help of the hardware you are going to operate it. That is consisting of the context switching, it is consisting of the interrupt handling and also for the timer handling. So context switching is done, and context switching is nothing but it is going to switch from one task to the another task. Second is the interrupt handling. Whenever the interrupt is going to occur, whenever some kind of error is going to occur, and that time this machine layer or the assembly code, whatever the instructions you are going to write, that instructions are fetched to handle this interrupt. And next is the timer handling. This timer handling is going to initiate each and every timer according to the application it is going to work. Next is the list management. Then after that it is the process management, which we have studied earlier. These are the functions of the kernel, and this is the process management, which is been scheduling and dispatching. And the last layer is the service layer, that is going to be creation termination, it is to be the communication synchronization, and it is to be the services utility. So this is nothing but the last layer is the system calls. Whenever this kind of condition is going to occur, then the system is going to come into the picture. And these things, still process management and machine layer and list management, these are all work done by the kernel mechanism itself. So let us see what the machine layer is going to do. This machine layer basically, or this layer directly interacts with the hardware of the physical machine. Okay, we have seen whenever the application is going to come, the kernel and directly the devices. We have seen one picture. Okay, so there this layer directly interacts with the hardware. Hardware is the physical machine exactly, and it is with the assembly language program. Okay, so the primitives that is realized in this level mainly deals with the activities such as context switching. As I told you, it is going to work under the context switching, interrupt handling and timer handling. So these primitives are not visible to the user levels. Okay, so the machine level, that is the machine layer which is directly going to communicate with the assembly language programming or assembly language. So while contacting or while communicating with the physical layer of the physical devices of the hardware, that time three major primitives are going to come into picture. First one is the context switching, second one is the interrupt handling, and third one is the timer handling. So these basic layers are not directly switched to the user levels. Next we are going to see is the list management layer. So this list management layer is used to keep the track of the status of the various tasks, which are the different tasks going on, to keep the proper status, to look after each and every task. This list management layer is included, so that the kernel has to manage the number of lists where the task having some same state or it is enqueued. Now for example, suppose whenever your ball is going to be played into one court, okay, the kernel, or what you may say, the list management is going to look upon that ball, whether that ball is into the same state or it has been switched to the next state. So that time this picture or this work to keep the tracking of each and every task is decided by the list management layer. So this layer is going to provide the basic primitives for inserting and removing a task from the list. So whatever the list you need to do, whatever the task is to be performed, this layer has the authority to insert or to delete the particular task. Next is the processor management layer. Now this mechanism is developed in this layer, only concerns the scheduling and dispatching of the operations. And the next is the last layer, as we have seen, the user cells or the system cells is nothing but called as the service layer. This service layer provides all the services that is visible at the user level and set a call to the system. So this typical concerns the task creations, task absorption or suspension of the periodic instance, or you may say as the activation of the suspension of a periodic instance, or some system inquiry operations. So whenever these are the user level applications, when it is going to perform, that time this service layer is going to come into picture. Next we are going to see is the process states. Now as we know, as I told you, the task is going to run from one state to another state. Now let us see in detail about these states. Okay, so any kernel that is going to support the execution of the concurrent activity or a single processor. Okay, so this process state of or any kernel that is going to support and executing the concurrent activity. Concurrent activity means which is ongoing activity performing, it is going to look upon a single processor. So that might be the semaphores or the mutual exclusion, three states in which the task can enter. Whenever the picture is running, whenever the task is running, that has to go under three states. First one, the running state, second one, the ready state, and the third one, the waiting state, and then the delay. Okay, so let us see in detail about these states. So first one we are going to see is the running state. So this task, a task enter in this state, it start executing on the processor. Okay, so whenever the task is entered into this running state, that means the execution of the processor is going to begin. Second state, once it has been running, second state it should be ready. Now ready state is what? In this state, those tasks that are ready to execute, okay, the tasks which are ready to execute, but it is not executed because the processor is not assigned the other task. Is it not? So all the tasks that are in these conditions are maintained in the queue called as ready queue. See, we know once the person is working, it is going to be in the running state. Okay, so when a person is going to work into the running state, that means once the task is finished, it is ready to do its own work. It is just in the initial state, in the running state, yet work is not assigned to that person. When the work is assigned to that person, that time it is ready to work, but it is not executing. The person is not working. Why? Because the person has not told कि what work has to do. It is just the work is been allotted, but what work exactly it has to do, it has not been told. So that time that human being is called in a ready queue. That is, he has kept in a queue. Okay, so that conditions are maintained in a queue, which is called as a ready queue. Ready queue means why? He is ready to work, but the work is not allotted. I have gave you an example. Okay, and the next is the waiting state. So whenever a task is going to enter into this particular waiting state, it executes the synchronization primitive to wait from an event. So when using the semaphores, or whenever you are going to work for the operation, a wait primitive unlocked semaphores. So in this case, the task is inserted in a queue associated with the semaphores. So the task at the head of this queue is resumed when the semaphore is unlocked, and then the other task is been executed. A signal on that semaphore is continuously given, so that it has to be continuously worked. So when a task is resumed means it has to be again continue from that particular work. So when the task is resumed, it is inserted in the ready queue. Okay, once it has been in the waiting state, once the waiting state is over, again it has sent in the ready queue. So in between this, a delay is been provided. So an additional delay state is been introduced in the real-time kernel. Why? Because the delay primitive suspends the job for the given interval of time, and to put the job in the sleeping state, that is in the delay state, until it will be awakened by the timer after the elapsed interval. So this delay is been introduced in the real-time kernel because the delay primitive, thus delay is provided means it has suspended